So a couple of days ago, I had a meeting with a guy who is very young, doing very, very well in business, but his personal life sucks a lot. And we talk about, he explained the situation, he explained what he tried, what worked, basically nothing, and what he didn't work. And while we were talking, I actually introduced him to something I read maybe last summer, something known as the Sigma Balance Framework. It sounds like ooga booga type shit, but no, it's actually very, very useful. Let me explain the simplest way possible. So we already heard, you should find balance in your life, regardless, business, dietary, whatever, fitness, workout, everything that you like, it should be balanced. Everything that you don't like should be balanced. Nonsense. But the Sigma Balance Framework is completely different. Let me explain. You know how in life, regardless of your stage of life, like young, pre-adult, adult, there are times when you want to be a little bit more arrogant, or there are times when you're a little bit more shy than you should be, right? So the real balance in life, which determines the overall success in the Sigma framework, is that if you can find this particular balance only, forget about every other balance in your life, anything else that could be measured, small, important, more or less important, if you think about it. Everything comes down to one thing and one thing only, which is if you can find the balance in your moments when you have to be a little bit more or less shy, in the moments when you have to show your character, being more upfront, be more leader-like person, not staying in the shy zone in the dark, listening to other people talking, not having an opinion. If you find this balance and intercept any conversation or situations, find the balance, the single balance, it will work like a charm. If I look back in my life, same thing. Like most men, my opinion, regardless of the age, they struggle with the same exact system. They can't figure it out when they have to actually be more leader-like individual, show more character, be the in fact the front guy who knows all the answers. And the times when we should just chill and be the guy who wants to listen more than speak, wants to learn more, wants to be more shy, more reserved, right? If you say so. And this is the Sigma Balance Framework. It works amazing. Just think about all the times when you work in a team, a project, and you feel that you know so much, and you kind of probably overdo it, right? You probably went too far. At some point, you start telling people what to do. They don't like it. Probably had some arguments. In this very moment, if you actually find the balance to step back, to be more collected, not showing so much that you want to be the leader of the team or know so much more than others, even if it's true. Who knows? You might actually build a successful startup because everyone trusts each other, everyone respects each other. There's little to no arguments because everyone kind of find the balance to work within the system of the startup. Because people didn't like you because you know too much, the startup didn't work out. Same freaking system works in personal life. Think about all the moments you actually went on a date and you was too shy, and the girl always wanted you to speak more, want to say something more, and sometimes you say something you don't say something. If you think about it, right? If you roll back the intro, you understand that it's very likelihood that in some of these situations you could have said more, done more, express yourself more, which likely would have played in your favor. But more people were just simply too shy, just listening, not saying anything. The conversation is not going. This again, the second part of the Sigma Balance Framework, where once when you actually nail this, learn this, and you start applying it automatically, your brain knows exactly. You enter to the room and you simultaneously realize, okay, what is my role in this particular room, right? Should I be the quiet guy? Should I be the guy who runs the show? Should I be the guy who actually supports the guy who runs the show? Should I be like just the regular random dude not showing up, staying in the dark and waiting for a moment? Exactly. This is why, if one thing I have to think about psychologically, that from all the psychological principles of business psychology or just normal psychology. I think this is pure gold. And I'm saying I discovered this last summer. I think I was reading through some of the Greek methodology, and then I went to read about Rome and after Rome conquered the Greeks. And I think I read somewhere within the lines that there was this framework. And if you read deeper, you will find that when Alexander the Great was growing up, he was actually reading about Achilles. He was actually being such a big fanboy of Achilles. He inspired to become Achilles, right? Which sounds ridiculous these days, especially if you know that Achilles is a fictional character. He never existed. But when you know that someone like him inspired to be a fictional character, it's truly amazing, surprisingly amazing. So think about it. I guarantee most people, if you really roll back some of the moments in your life, you realize that this was a game changer, a solution from maybe 50-60% of the cases for you, and it could have worked out perfectly, or at least better than what will actually happen, right? So go ahead, maybe take some notes, maybe set up some reminders, maybe create like a sticky note on your wallpaper, because when you go next meeting, it's a very high chance for you to actually forget. So just create a small sticky note, put it on the wallpaper so you will be able to see it. And next time when you have a date, next time when you have a meeting, next time when you have some business potential partnership, all you gotta do is to follow the framework, right? That's exactly what you have to do. Just think clearly, okay? Don't overplay it, don't overthink it. It's very simple, it's very unique, and it works. Up to this day, I'm still following it, because before I was more or less acting the same way, right? More or less approaching every situation, business professional, people, the same way. Regardless, I was speaking with the CEO, I was speaking with someone on the street. My aptitude was the same. Not showing empathy, not understanding what's my role in this conversation. Am I the person who is actually favored, or I have to do favor for someone? Am I the person who is actually gonna be, or most likely not gonna be involved in the solution or in the progress of the case, of the situation? So once when you think through, everything becomes so obvious. That's why smart people, said a long time ago, you don't have to be the smartest, you don't have to be the fastest, but being the more or less knowledgeable person will makes a big difference. Okay? Check it out. Thanks.